Okay, so we're diving right in. Today we're going to be looking at the teaser for Raid 2,
All right.
specifically the dialogue from that YouTube transcript on the T-Series channel.
Okay.
And our mission is to sort of try to figure out, what's going on underneath the surface here in this short preview.
Yeah.
Um, so I guess like right off the bat, what really strikes you is the sense of escalation.
Right away. Yeah.
Um, one of the characters mentions a tax case, you know, that could have been resolved by paying a fine.
Hmm.
But then in response to that, the other character says that King's army is involved.
Yeah, right away, this is much more than just a simple tax thing.
Right. It's not just about unpaid taxes.
Yeah, there's something much bigger at play here.
It throws you right into the deep end of this whole thing.
Absolutely.
And then we meet Patnaik, and this guy is apparently on his 75th raid this time at Dadabai's place.
75 raids, that's impressive.
With his 75 raids, that paints him as a real
Awesome.
force to be reckoned with. And then Dadabai being the target of someone like that, that relentless.
Right. He must be a pretty significant player as well to warrant that kind of attention.
So what does that kind of track record make you think about Patnaik? Like, what's his approach here?
I mean, it definitely suggests a pattern in a history of going after some pretty significant targets.
Right.
And the dialogue really reinforces that tension, like when they ask why they need this huge force for one government official
Right.
or whose life Patnaik is making miserable now, it makes you wonder, you know?
It creates a real disconnect.
Yeah. Is Dada Hai really just some bureaucrat
Or is there something else going on?
is there something else entirely that we're not seeing?
Right. What kind of hornet's nest is he kicking here?
Yeah.
All right, so let's unpack that final exchange because this is where it gets really interesting, I think.
Okay.
So they liken Dadahai to the Pandavas,
Yeah.
Lane traps.
Right.
Now, for people who don't know, the Pandavas are these 5 righteous brothers in the Hindu epic
Mm-hmm.
Mahabharata, known for their strategy and sometimes, cunning tactics in war.
Right. Very strategic.
But then Dadapai, he comes back with this really interesting reply.
He does.
He says, I never said I am a Pandav, I am the Mahabharata.
Which is a really fascinating distinction.
Yeah.
Because it shifts the whole way he sees himself and his role in this whole situation.
Right. It's not about being strategic like the Pandavas.
Exactly.
By saying he is the Mahabharata, it's almost like he's positioning himself as something much bigger.
Right.
Maybe the entire conflict or the whole epic story.
Like he is the conflict.
Yeah. So, what does it mean to declare yourself the Mahabharata in this context?
Well, I think it raises a really important question. Like, is he suggesting that he is the central point that everything revolves around?
Right.
Is he like a force of destiny, or is he even maybe like a representation of this much larger system of power and conflict?
Right, because the Mahabharata itself is this huge epic, that deals with all these themes of duty and righteousness and this major war
Yeah.
between these related clans and everything.
So it's definitely elevating this, beyond a simple tax rate or,
Right, it hints at this narrative with much deeper roots
much deeper roots. Yeah.
than just like a taxman versus an individual.
Absolutely.
So I guess with this brief glimpse, what ideas might you have about the real power dynamics that are happening here?
Yeah. I mean, it really makes you think.
And how does that intense metaphorical language,
Mm-hmm.
the king's army and the Mahabharata, all of that,
Yeah. All these metaphors.
suggest this much more complex story waiting to unfold?
Yeah. It's really fascinating. I mean, it makes you wonder what kind of epic scale this whole conflict could reach.
Yeah, what's the full scope of this thing?
Exactly.
Well, thanks for taking this deep dive with us.
My pleasure.
It's been really interesting to unpack this.
Absolutely.
And we'll see you next time.
See you later.
All right.
Bye.